Greetings, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to another Wednesday's What's in the Word. In 2 Kings chapter 4, you will find these words recorded in the scriptures. The wife of a man from the company of the prophets cried to Elijah, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that he revered the Lord, but now his creditor is coming to take my two boys as his slaves." Elijah replied to her, "How can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?" "Your servant has nothing," she replied, "except a small jar of olive oil." Elijah said, "Go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few. Then go inside and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour oil into the jars, and as each is filled, put it to one side." She left him and shut the door behind her and her sons. They brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. When all the jars were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another one." But he replied, "There is not a jar left." Then the oil stopped flowing. So she went and told the man of God, and he said, "Go, sell the oil and pay your debts. You and your sons can live on what's left." My brothers and sisters, I am so glad to give you this word. I am so excited what God has downloaded to me. And I want to preach for just a few minutes. I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know I could do this comes from me studying the Word of God and understanding seasons, times, and where we are. We are in the dimension of disruption. And this dimension, you must take destiny steps. My brothers and sisters, we have reached a pivotal moment in time and in our lives, but you can't miss this moment. It's time to take destiny steps. From the woman's perspective, adversity has come to town. For those of us who are under this pandemic, those of us that are still trying to settle in what is really happening in our society, in the earth realm at this time, it's still something that we don't quite understand. But for those of us that are in the kingdom, we have to understand kingdom principles and how they operate. We are in the dimension of the disruption. The woman of God goes to the woman takes her two sons and she goes to the man of God, and she goes as if she's just in total desperation, that her back is up against the wall, that I don't quite understand what's going on. Fear is beginning to set in because she can testify that her husband has fallen victim to the pandemic. But in these moments, she still has to take care of her two sons, and the threat rests over their lives. She tells the man of God that now that my husband is dead, his creditors has come for payment, and they want to come for my two sons. Stop and pause for a minute. Let's look at the principle. They're coming for her two sons after her husband is dead, which represents legacy, future, and inheritance. Come on, somebody. The creditors are coming for her two sons. The principle here is they're coming for legacy and inheritance. We are in the dimension of disruption, but we cannot be overtaken in this moment. So let's go back to the principles shown in the scriptures. She goes to the man of God and he asks, "What is in your house?" She can't even wrap her brains around, "I'm going for help, and he's asking me questions." That is a principle of God. God always asks you questions that he already knows. So she answers the man of God and she says, "All I have is only a small jar of olive oil." And he tells her this: "I want you to go to all your neighbors, borrow big jars, small jars, fat jars, tall jars, out of shape jars. Just borrow as many jars as you can. Take you and your two sons home and shut the door." Here's another principle. Go into a safe place and shut the door. The door represents entrance, in and out. Shut the door and do this. Have your sons bring you the oil, and you have your sons bring you the pots. And when your sons bring you the pots, you pour in the oil. Then there comes a time when when she asks her son to bring me another pot. And the son replies, "There's no more pots, there's no more jars," and the oil stopped flowing. But isn't that just like God? Just when we think, "I didn't think I could do this. I didn't think I could be creative in this time. I didn't think I could pivot in this moment. I didn't think that I could flow in the dimension of the disruption. But here I am doing what God has assigned me to do. I'm being creative. I'm activating my gifts. I'm moving. I'm flowing. And there are times when I didn't think I could do it, but I'm looking at this thing. I didn't know I could do this. My brothers and sisters, I encourage you on today that for those of you that don't think you can do it, I call you into agreement and alignment with the word of God. If God be for you, he's more than the whole world's against you. He that begun a good work in you is able to perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. So I need you to think about it. You didn't know you can do it, but now you're doing it because you're not doing it in your own strength. You're doing it by the power of God. Gracious God, we thank you for this day. I pray, I decree that you release from the heavenlies a new mindset, a new thought process, oh God. For you declare that he that know that God shall be strong and do exploits. So even though we sometimes say, I didn't know I could do it, you are able to make all grace to abound towards us. And we thank you that even though we're in the dimension of the disruption, we're in it with you. Stay tuned for next week's Wednesday's What's in the Word.